are officially live. Hey everybody, I'm Wes.
Hello, I'm Matt.
And today we're talking about automations. And Matt, I'm so excited for this.
Yes, this is one of the most powerful, but I also think underused features in the ChurchTrac software.
It is.
And so we want to share it with you so that you can use it to its fullest potential and take your ChurchTrac account to the moon.
To the moon, oh my goodness. Now, before we dive into all the things, just a couple things I want to remind everybody of. First of all, our YouTube channel. It is amazing. If you're like me and you like to learn how to do things, I've learned how to fix my car and all the other things in between. Play guitar too, but YouTube is a great resource for that. And that's why we put all of our videos on YouTube, including this live stream that's happening right now. So if you're joining us from the future, hello future. But yeah, check out our YouTube channel for all the videos that show you all the features in ChurchTrac, as well as all our other great resources we have to help you as a church leader build the body of Christ. Matt, tell them about our Facebook group.
And by the way, I'm dropping links to the YouTube channel and the Facebook group into the chat right now. So if you're watching, go ahead and join the chat. Share your name, your church name and location, and what you do at your church, just so that we can all get to know each other. And again, this is live. So as you're chatting, we're reading. I see Lanicea, you're from the Light Church in Clayton. Derek Howard, Talmo Baptist Church in Talmo, Georgia. I saw Karen earlier. Really excited to chat with all of you. We have a wonderful Facebook group that you can join. That is a private group of other ChurchTrac users. If you're just getting started with ChurchTrac, or if you're just joining us because you're checking us out and you haven't even actually created an account yet, you can still join as well. That way you can see more about the software, join a really awesome community, and ask all your questions. That's another place to chat with people that love ChurchTrac and love ministry so much they'll answer your questions about either one of those things.
And that's also a place where we tell people about things that we're coming out with soon, which we may mention something about that. We have a couple of tricks up our sleeve.
Tuned, yes.
Now, and last but not least, before we dive into automations, I just want to reinforce, like here at ChurchTrac, we're really big on help. And being able to help your ministry. And so anytime you're using a software, if you click that help button, you can go straight to asking us a question. It takes you to our entire online user guide as well, where we just make it really easy to utilize the software to its full potential. And so you can even schedule a phone call with our team or create a support ticket or just browse all our help topics. So there you go. All right. Now, today, automations. Oh my goodness. Where to start, Matt?
Well, let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about what are automations. That'll be where we begin. Then we'll cover how to build an automation. We'll kind of go through the building blocks of how to use and set up an automation. And then we'll cover what we call automation recipes. We're going to show you some really cool automations that you can create and customize for your church. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A so that you can ask all your questions and feel like you're ready to hit the ground running.
I have a feeling this Q&A may go pretty long just because people are the wheels are going to be turning and they're going to start asking questions. All right, so what are automations? So in our user guide, we have, and I quote, an automation is a set of one or more actions that are run either on a schedule or in a response to a trigger in your database. When I read that, Matt, I was just like, I think we need to rewrite that because
it's very correct. It's also really boring.
Yes. So of course, what do I do when I want to unboring my life? I hop on ChatGPT and ask it things. And so I asked it, give me a better definition. And it said, tasks computers do automatically without human intervention, simplifying repetitive or complex processes.
Okay, I'm interested. I'm intrigued now.
That was good. But then I was like, you know what? What's a better definition? And so I asked ChatGPT to explain it as if I was a teenager. This is gold. It said, think of it as a computer's autopilot, doing stuff while you chill.
Nice.
So
I should have said chillax. Made it a little more 2000s.
Yeah, that would have been better. But I love that just because that's the whole point of automations. It enables us to set some things on autopilot, things that are maybe repetitive, things that are things that take us a while to do.
And sometimes some things that are easy to forget to do.
Oh, I didn't even think about that because I forgot.
Yes, like the first one, sending a birthday message.
Yes.
I mean, it's the worst to fully intend to send something knowing that it's important, but then like wait a day.
Yes.
Or just forget, and then the day later realize, oh no, and having a birthday message sent to you the day after your birthday might be worse than not having a birthday message sent at all.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And So when it comes to these automations that we can do in ChurchTrac, making church automations, they do a whole lot of things. All right, you just said one. You could send a birthday message to your people automatically using the software. Have leadership notified when a new name is added to your database. That's a great one. Another one, automatically email a report of last month giving totals to your treasurer perhaps. Create a recurring transaction. So for all you accounting people out there, you can create recurring transactions with this. And there are so many other things that, I mean, we're just going to have to go through. And
we're not going to have enough time.
But we'll show some of the cool ones at least. All right, so Matt, we got to go through and talk about how to build. How to build an automation. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm logged into my account, so let's go ahead and pull everything up here. So to get to automations in ChurchTrac, you're going to go to your settings and automation screen. Now, if you don't see these features, it could be because you're on an older ChurchTrac subscription level, and so you need to upgrade to that. So just reach out to our support team if you need to do that. But you're going to find it lives right there on the automations tab. And so when I click that tab, it brings me right to the screen, and it is blank.
It is very blank, yes.
I have a complete blank canvas. I can watch a video, but we're doing a video now, so I don't need to watch a video.
Let's not do that.
But to start creating an automation, I click the Add button, or Select if you're using a touch device. And now we're ready to get off to the races of building an automation. Now, here's what I really love, is that we have everything kind of set out here to help you get going with your church automations. And so to start with this, I want to do some pre-built automations.
Okay, yeah. We just to get you started, we give you a handful of automations. That way you can kind of get your feet wet in this whole aspect of the software without having to have all the knowledge ahead of time of how to build.
And as I create these, you're going to see why these are also helpful, because you can edit them later and stuff. And just a quick FYI, there are two different types of automations in ChurchTrac. There are people automations, and these are automations that have to do with people in your database. And then there are application automations, and these are automations, things like sending a report or something like that, or a recurring transaction in an accounting screen. So easy enough so far? Okay. So let's go ahead and do a pre-built one. And of course, I'm going to send the birthday message because...
Absolutely, because it's your birthday.
And you know, I think I told this in one of our previous live streams. I get a birthday text message and an email from my dentist.
I get them from Dunkin' Donuts.
So if my dentist, who I see twice a year for my teeth cleaning on a good year, if he's sending me an email on my birthday and my church isn't, that's
a problem.
That's not good. Yeah, because we should have a better relationship with our people than the dentist has with them. So let's go ahead. Let's send a birthday message, and I need to name this automation as well. And so I'm just going to call this birthday. I have to learn how to spell birthday right though. So birthday message, and here we go. I add automation from my pre-built automation, and it's done. Literally, it's done.
Really?
Yes.
That's it?
That's it. It's already done.
Okay.
Like now the system is automatically going to every morning at 9 a.m. it's going to send a email to everybody whose birthday is today.
Okay.
Now let me explain some things here. You got some explaining to do.
Yeah, got some explaining to do.
So let's talk about the makings, like what makes up an automation here in ChurchTrac. So there are two things. The first is your automation action. Action. There, yes, just like that action, you know? So an automation action. I like to say that an automation action is the what.
Okay.
What is happening in this situation? And in this situation, the what is an email that we're sending out. And so we're wanting to send out an email to our people on their birthday. Now, here's what I love. It's already created, but I want to go in here and I want to actually edit this email so I can. And so I clicked it real fast, but I'm going to show you again. All you do is select it. And then from here, I have email subject. There's a subject line of email, happy birthday.
Simple.
Now the message, I can put happy birthday, and then it already says first name, have a great day. Now, you probably want to say more than that, and so you can. You can say, you know, I wish blessings upon blessings on you and your family. Blessings on blessings. Whatever.
Yeah,
so there we go.
Yeah, you all know what you want to say.
Yes, and these little things right here, I don't even know what the technical term for them is, but these will insert things for that person. So like if I select name, it'll insert the person's name. If I select first, it'll just put their first name. If I select last, it'll put their last address, phone, email, all the things.
Nice.
I'm going to delete that though, because I don't need to tell this person I'm emailing what their name is. They already know what their name is.
Right.
So save action. Now here's the other thing. So the automation options. So the options, this is the when. This is when is this happening and who is this happening to. So right here I have daily at 9 a.m. Now if I want to, I can adjust this and I can say, you know what, I want this to happen at 6 a.m. That way people see that immediately when they open their emails. I can save that, make that change. And then who is this being applied to? So we got the when and then the who. So the who is also a great band, by the way.
Yes,
but,
it is.
The who in this situation is people who are on a smart list with birthdays today. Now, we did something really cool with automations when we originally created it. So we actually have a smart list that's called birthdays today that's automatically created. And so when you actually go to your people screen, not to like get too deep into all this, but if I go to my people screen, I go to my smart list, then I scroll down, there's birthdays today. And so birthday is today, it shows those people. So if I go to show matching names on my screen, I have nobody whose birthday is today.
Yeah, this automation will run every day and send a text message to everybody who has a birthday that day. And again, obviously if no one has a birthday that day, just doesn't send a text out.
Yeah. So that is the first one, showing a birthday message. Now let's have some more fun, shall we?
Okay, let's do it.
Now, because I like to work smart, not hard, when I create automations or just anything in general, I will select the add button and I'm gonna go ahead and use another pre-built template.
Okay.
Because
why
it's
not?
right there.
Why don't we do a report?
Let's do it. I tell you, we'll do a report, but I want to do another one that's even more basic. That probably be good. Let's do one for when a new name is added to my database, this is super common.
Yes.
When a new name is added to your database, maybe you want someone to be notified about that.
Yeah.
Perhaps the pastor, perhaps maybe a leader, whatever.
Like an outreach director or something.
Yes, exactly. So in this situation, I'm gonna go ahead and choose notify when a new name is added, the pre-built template that we've already got here, and I'll name this automation, and I'm gonna call it new name added. All right, here we go. So now I've got that, add automation. Okay, it's done.
Already done. Goodness gracious, that's all it takes.
Yes,
that's amazing.
These pre-built automations, what makes them so cool is like it takes a lot of the guesswork out of this. But as you get more familiar with automations, you'll get really at home with this and make them quick. But let me just go ahead and talk about the actions. So the what is happening. So the things that are happening. It's emailing a ChurchTrac user, and right now it's emailing this particular user. But I can select a different user. So I can say, you know what, I want David to get notified whenever we have new people added to our database. The email subject, new name added into ChurchTrac. I could change this subject if I want. I can edit all this. And then the email message, let's say, you know what, I want to make this email message a little better. So I'm going to say, hello, a new name has been added to your ChurchTrac database, name, phone, address, yada, yada. And then I can even say, thank you, because I want to thank people. And there you go. So I'll just save it. And then the other thing is it's creating a task for this particular person. And so I can go ahead, I can assign this task to David in this situation because David's getting the email as well. And I want a task to be assigned to David. So I can do that. And then I can select the project. And I've already got an outreach project I've created for such a time as this.
Okay.
And so I've got that there. And then I can have the task name. And then again, it's going to be inserting the name and all the details of that person. And so then I'll just select save action. So all my what's, AKA my actions, they're done. And then when is this happening? Well, it's happening when a new name is added. And here's what's really cool. So earlier when I showed the birthday one, that was based on a schedule and it would send on a specific time of the day. And you can select all these different options we have for scheduling automations, but we also have automations that happen when they're triggered by something. And this trigger in this case is when a new name is added to your database, but we have other ones. We have when a tag is assigned, when a member status is changed, when a linked task is completed, which is on a whole nother level, which I think we have a video about that.
Yes, we have a whole linked task. That's a deeper automation.
Yeah.
It's where you can create a task being completed as a trigger for another automation so that you can link multiple. You can have a whole chain of automations that run.
It is
in sequence.
That is for the most advanced users that really want to take this to another level. But anyways, so I'm just going to save that. So we've got that. We've got one created now that's automatically going to notify a specific ChurchTrac user whenever someone is added to the database. Now let's do another one. Last one we'll do for pre-built. And this one's going to be, what did you mention, a report earlier, Matt?
Yeah, sending a report. Something like a giving report or maybe an accounting report or something like that.
Okay, so we'll do the email at ChurchTrac report. And let's just call this the weekly giving, perhaps.
Okay.
And then I'll go ahead, add automation. There we go. Now it's going to go ahead and it's going to email a people screen report is what this one did, but I can change that here.
Okay.
And so from here, I would actually just delete this one. And this is great to show this because you can see I can delete an action and then I can add a different one. So in this situation, I want to add an action. And I want to add a giving screen report, and then I can select and configure. Again, this action, this is the what is happening. Well, the what in this situation is I want a category summary, and I want that sent to, we're going to say we want it sent to John, and choose the date range. I want it of last week. So the last week's, yeah. And then when do I want this automation to run? It's already
got Mondays, yeah, but you can change it to any other day of the week and any other time of the day.
Yeah, on Mondays at 6 a.m. is already perfect, though.
Yep.
I like that.
Cool.
So there you go. We have a weekly giving report. Every single Monday at 6 a.m. is going to send the last week's giving to John, who is our church treasurer.
Yes.
Just like that.
Yeah.
That's
easy.
Man.
Simple.
What do y'all think about this so far? Isn't this kind of wild of just what we can do with software? And a lot of these things that I know many of you are using in ChurchTrac and you're doing these things regularly, but to take this to another level where you're leveraging the software and predefining all the things you want it to do, and so then it just does it for you. I was thinking about this in my morning run today, Matt. As I was running, I was just thinking to myself, man, what other things can I automate in my life that are worth automating, so that way I can have it done when I walk into the office? Like literally all these random tasks and things that take up my time, they're done before I even get into the office. So it's just kind of crazy to see that. All right, now let's go deeper. Ready? We've just started from the very beginning, and now we're going to go take things to the next level and actually create one not with the pre-built template here. So you ready to add another?
Oh, okay. So we're going to do a bespoke.
Oh, bespoke.
Bespoke automation.
It should be illegal for how much fun we have doing these things. It's crazy.
I hope it never gets illegal because I like having this much fun.
All right, so we're going to add another automation here. And let's see here. All right, let me think through. I want to make an email going to a ChurchTrac user when someone has been tagged background check needed.
Yeah, okay.
So I want to notify a specific church leader that, hey, this person needs a background check because this leader is in charge of doing all of our background checks at our church. And
yeah, Wes, why are you bringing up background checks? Does ChurchTrac handle that?
Not yet.
Not yet. Just check in a week or so.
Yeah.
And we'll keep an eye out in your email inbox for some announcements coming up in the next couple days.
And we'll drop some hints on the Facebook group. But anyways, let's talk about it. So background check needed is what I'm going to call this. Background check needed. And here's the deal. So I'm going to use the guide to help walk me through this.
Okay. So we even walk them step by step through the process of creating even a custom.
Yes. And what's great about this guide is it kind of gets you started and everything. And then what I typically find church leaders do, Matt, is they'll use the guide for like 2 or 3 automations and then they'll get comfortable and then they don't even need the guide. They're just like, boom, application automation, and they start rolling.
Yep.
So we're going to use the guide to guide me. Now continue to step 2. So let's go to step 2. All right, so now it's asking, okay, create a new action. Again, the what. What? All right, so in this situation, the what is, I want to send an email. Or I tell you what, let's do an email. So I want to email a specific ChurchTrac user. So this is another person in leadership at my church, and I'll select and configure. Now this email is actually going to go to you, Matt, because you handle the background checks and everything. Okay. And so I'm going to call this background check needed.
And Tiffany Bird says, yay, background checks will be great. And Lana Cia says, come on, background checks.
Yes. And it's not just background checks, it's also volunteer training.
Yes.
And then, so in this situation, all right, email message. So the email, it's going to be background check needed. And I got to get in a better habit, Matt. I'm going to put hi. Because I need to acknowledge the person. Background check needed.
No, show them how they can just inject the name.
Well, in this situation, that wouldn't work because it's injecting.
You're talking to a user anyway. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not to a member.
So background check is needed. And everybody, please forgive me. I capitalize weird words for no reason at all. Background check is needed for, and then I'm going to put name.
Nice.
And then space. I'll put phone number, space, email, and there we go. I can put address if I wanted to do that too.
Yeah.
All right, so there we go. So hi, background check is needed for this person, and this is email that's going to go to you, Matt.
Okay.
So there you go.
However, Jeff Connor has been asking about text messages, and then when you showed that list of tasks, he's like, I see the text message! So I'm going to request you also send me a text message and show him how to set that up.
And so let's just use this example. So then let's say I'll just leave you here. So all right, continue to step 3. All right, so we've got the what done. Now we need to have, okay, when is this going to happen? Well, I want this to be triggered.
Okay, not on a schedule, but in response to something that happens in the software.
Exactly. Now, here is this. Now, when it comes to triggering things, a lot of times we're using tags or we're changing a status or something. You need to have your legwork done in advance. Because in this particular situation, I've already done the legwork of creating tags in my database, which, if you're not familiar with tags, go ahead and watch our videos, get real familiar, because they're going to use them to organize your people and for attendance tracking, and in this case, automations. But they're triggered when a tag is assigned. And that tag is going to be background check needed.
Perfect.
So when that tag gets applied to a person, it triggers this particular automation immediately.
Yes, and Belinda, you were asking, how does the email indicated who is the person that needs the background check? Well, this is how.
Yes.
It's pulling the member's information from the profile that we apply that background check needed tag to. Because we set that up as the trigger. The moment that tag is added to somebody's profile, it runs this automation. And so our system knows, okay, it's pulling that person's information and injecting it into the email to me, the user of the ChurchTrac account that has to follow up with them.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Just because coming into this can be a lot, but I assure you, once you get familiar with it, create a couple automations, you're gonna be flying. You won't be even using this little step-by-step thing I've got here.
And also Tiffany says that she caps random stuff too. She likes the shift button. It feels like a power button. It's a power up for your texting.
That's pretty funny.
I love it.
So, all right, we've got this done. Save changes. And there we go. It's literally done, Matt.
Done.
Yeah,
literally.
Donezo.
Yes.
Now, I want to talk about texting because that's another thing. Now, to utilize our texting with automations, you need to purchase your own phone number through our Twilio integration. To use that. So check out our user guide. We've got info on that. It is not that hard to set up. You just need to make sure you follow the steps that we provide, so that way you've got your number properly connected to ChurchTrac, so you can send and receive text to your people.
Yeah, and I think I had my church's account set up in less than 10 minutes.
Yeah,
it was easy.
It's not too bad. It's just there's a couple nuances. You have to just make sure you follow the user guide. It shows you. I think we even have a video or something on there. But all right, I want to take this next level because you talked about text messaging. So here's the deal. You can have multiple actions. So AKA the what. You're going to be so tired of me saying what, but I can add another action. So not only do I want it to email a specific ChurchTrac user, in this case it was you, letting you know that, hey, background check has been initiated for this person, we need to get this going. But I can have it send a text message to you or another ChurchTrac user. So in this case, I've got a phone number for the pastor here, and let's just pretend the pastor is you. But then I can say background check needed for, and then I can put their name and then their email. And a lot of times when we're doing background checks, especially with our integration coming up, all you need is their name and email. But name, email, phone, save action. So now this is automatically sending a text message to that person. But wait, there's more. So it's sending a text message to that leader. I'm going to add another action, and it's going to send a text message to that particular person that the background check is being done on.
Awesome.
Because I want to take things to the next
go.
level here. This is what automations are about, man. And then I'm going to say hi, and then first name, the process for background checks. I just have to type faster here. Has been started. And then, like, if depending on the process of how your church does things, if you reach out to that person personally to get their information, or maybe you have a form that you want to take them to, whatever it may be, you can put that in there. I see a lot of churches link to their card on Church Connect that has that info, like a form card. I see a lot of churches link to a particular page on their website right there in the text message. So that way, your people then get the text, they can click that link. Pretty awesome. I'm also impressed, Matt, that you are listening to me and answering people's questions in chat in real time. So good job on that, man.
All right.
All right.
I do my best.
So there we go. That's creating an automation from start to finish using the builder. And I encourage all of you, this is something, it takes time. You're not going to be a professional automator and just sitting at it for 20 minutes.
But that's why we have those pre-built and the step-by-step guide.
Yeah.
By the time you do one or two of those, like, you won't need them anymore. You'll be able to, you'll go from crawling to walking to running pretty fast.
Yeah, and as someone who has witnessed how fast my daughter went from crawling to walking to running, I can say that this is very similar to that. It won't take you long at all. Now let's kind of dive in. We've showed how to create them from start to finish and everything. I want to go ahead and take things to another level, and so we're going to enter a time of recipes, automation recipes.
Love it. Now a little cook-off.
We've
already church automations potluck.
we need to do a contest or something for
like a
recipe.
barbecue. Yeah, cook-off. Let's do it.
So when it comes to automation recipes, we've actually taken the time. If you click that help button. And somehow, some way, I completely took things up. But if you go to our support guide here, and then you go to browse all help topics, or you can just search automations. But we actually have an article here called Automations Recipes. And in this article, highly recommend you check it out. We have a lot of very quick recipes. These videos are like about a minute long. We actually walk you through start to finish how to create all these different automations, like a monthly giving report, guest welcome text, tag swip swap. We're going to talk more about that in a minute.
Terry's asking about that.
Yeah, nobody gets left behind. I like that one. It's about an absentee report. Tag to date, updating a field with today's date when a tag is assigned.
Okay.
I mean, there's all kinds of wild stuff. Tag text notifications, so when someone gets tagged something, they get a text. Those are just some of them, but yeah, there's a lot going on there. So I want to share a couple recipes, if I may. Just things that I've been thinking through, but also things I've seen other churches do that are really leveraging automations well. And so let's do, I think, probably one of the coolest ones, and that is the new guest follow-up. I think that's probably one of the most popular things that we see churches do automations for. So again, I go to my settings automation screen, I go to the automations, and then from here I can select add, and then I can go ahead and I can create an automation, and I'm going to call this new guest follow-up.
Yes.
I want to keep it easy, so.
Yeah, and this one, a new guest follow-up, I think, is probably going to be the most popular automation.
Yes.
In my opinion. I think the majority of churches would want something like this at their church.
And what I love so much about this one we're about to show is you can keep it pretty simple and you can get real intense.
Yes.
It really just comes down to you as a church and your needs. I work with some churches that, are 150 people, give or take, and so their needs are a little bit less than a church that maybe has 1,500 people. And so you can really customize it to the needs of your ministry. So let's go ahead, new guest follow-up. Now this is a people automation. I'm not using the little step-by-step guide because I'm a professional here. So we're gonna dive in deep.
We can pretend anyway.
Yeah, I like to think I'm a professional, but we're all learning each and every day. All right, so now new guest follow-up, I've gone ahead and created it. It has nothing in here. I gotta start adding things.
Yes.
So we've got our actions, we've got our options. Now it doesn't matter which order I do these. I could go and do the options first and then do do the actions. It really just comes down to your preference. My preference is I always do the actions because that's just how my brain works, and I'm already thinking of, all right, what do I want to happen? All right, so this is a new guest follow-up, and so the thing I want to have happen is I want that new guest to get a text message automatically sent by us as a church.
Okay.
And so I'm going to add that. So it's send a text, SMS, and again, you need to have a number purchased and configured with ChurchTrac to use this feature. So select and configure. And then from here, this is the text message that's going to be going to that guest that visited our church the very first time. And so I'm going to go ahead and say hi and then first name. I don't want to say first and last name because that's way too formal for a text message. We're so glad you visited our church. Or you can say, you know, your church name. We're so glad you visited Potential Church or whatever it is. And then I'm just going to say pastor will be reaching out to you in the next day. That way they know exactly who's going to be reaching out. Now, I probably should have said the pastor, but in this situation, I want to say pastor will be reaching out because that's kind of how we talk in church.
Well, there's a character limit of 160 characters.
That's another thing too, and so we always want to be cognizant. So yeah, we got to tighten it up. Thank you for keeping me on the narrow there. All right, so I'm going to save this action, and there we go. So now what is happening? Well, it's sending a text message to that first-time guest. All right. Well, when is this happening and who is this happening to? That's my options.
Yes.
Well, I want it to happen basically quickly as possible.
Okay.
And that's happening to my guest. And in our church, what we do is we have a tag we've already created. This is why you want to do your legwork and kind of think through these things and get things set up before you start willy-nilly creating a bunch of automations. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is going to be applied not to everyone on a smart list or anything. This is going to be applied by a trigger. And so instead of a schedule, we're selecting a trigger here. And I find a lot of churches use the triggers just because there's so many things that have to do with tags that automations, I feel like a lot of churches build them around the tags.
Okay.
But in this case, we're going to say when a tag is assigned, and the tag is going to be new guest. So when I have someone tagged as new guest in our database, they are going to be triggering this thing. So save changes, and there we go. I'm not putting there's no schedule or anything to do because the tag is immediately. It's happening now. So now, here's what's happening. When someone is tagged, new guest, they automatically get sent a text message.
Now, you can stack actions on top of each other in an automation.
Stacks on stacks.
Yes, stacks on stacks. So you don't have to have just one action and then maybe create another automation to do another similar thing. At my church, we do both a text and an email.
Yes.
Like we would try to hit everybody in both ways, just to make sure in case they didn't give us one of those points of contact, we still get to them. Also, it's just cool to have it doubled up if they gave us both an email and a text anyway.
And when I schedule people with ChurchTrac, I always do both email and text message.
Yeah.
Just because I like to cover all my bases.
Exactly.
So,
and also with an email, you can do much more than you can with a text. You can add links to the Facebook group or to the YouTube channel or whatever.
And I would highly recommend you do that. So in the email, I'm going to say with the subject line, we're so glad you worshiped with us, and then from here the email message, hi, and then first name here, and then blah, blah, blah. And in this situation, I would encourage you to really be strategic about it. Maybe include a link to your website.
Right.
Maybe include a link how they can, I saw one church, what they did is they offered a coffee with the pastor.
Ooh,
and then what they would do is they would click a link, which then went to it was a Calendly link where they could pick a time slot. Yes, I thought I told you about this, but yeah, I was just like, the pastor was telling me this, and I was just like, so you're using automations to do that and then have coffee with people and everything's automated? And he's like, yeah, I'll check my email. I'll log in and I'll have three people that have scheduled coffee slots with me like on a Friday. And I'm like, this is amazing.
That's brilliant.
You could do that with this.
Yes.
It's crazy.
It's amazing.
So there you go. All right, so I have that email, but now I want to take things to the next level. This is going to be a sweet recipe with so many different ingredients. So add another action. Now here's the deal. And maybe some of you can relate. Now, if you're watching in the future, you can't type in the chat right now. But let me know in the chat. Can you relate to this where maybe certain people in your leadership don't necessarily log on to ChurchTrac much? but they should. And you need to notify them about things. Maybe your pastor, you'd be like, if you just log in ChurchTrac, I literally have everything for you there, or whatever. Let me know in the chat if you have that struggle sometimes. I know that I've had that struggle just because some people, no matter what, it's hard to get them to try new things. It takes them a while. So here's what I'm going to do, Matt. I'm going to send a text message to a ChurchTrac user as well. So I'm adding another action. 3 actions now. 3 hops this time. All right, so select and configure. Now, this is going to go to the pastor because I have a feeling the pastor may be mobile and not checking ChurchTrac as much as me and the church admin. And so I'm going to say, new guest follow-up. Oh, this is so awesome. Guest follow-up. And then I'm going to put that person's name. I'm going to put their phone number. And I'm going to put their email. Save action.
Nice.
So now...
So you shoot the person's contact information plus a reminder to the pastor with all the necessary contact information for them to just do it right then.
Oh, but it gets better.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna do another. Here we go.
Wait, there's more.
And there's actually, we were testing it out. I don't know how many actions you can add. I did like 12.
Really?
For one of my
I've never
automations.
pushed it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I assume you basically can do it as long as you want.
It's kind of wild. Now, I will, word of caution, I would definitely not do too many actions just because it's really easy to start forgetting what you've done. And then you could have a lot of different things be kicking off your automations and not even realize it. So just kind of word of caution. I always say like just no more than like 3 to 4 to be brutally honest, because you can always create additional automations. Now I'm going to go ahead and add another. This is going to be my last action. This one got crazy. And this is going to be, I want to add a note. And if you're not familiar with notes, it's the ability to notate on a person's profile anything that's going on in their lives and stuff so we can keep track. And the note category, it's just going to go to a regular note. I could put follow-up. And then it's going to put a reminder for the pastor. So when the pastor logs in the ChurchTrac, he's going to have a reminder.
Nice.
And it's going to automatically notate here.
New guest follow-up begun or something like that.
New guest follow-up. Yeah, guest follow-up started. And there we go. And then I'll save the action. So there you go.
Perfect. See, that's four actions, 4 things accomplished in one automation, all because you assigned a tag. I've seen other churches, instead of for when the automation is run, instead of when they assigned a tag, it's just when a new name is added to the database, because presumably the person showed up and they filled out the connect card, and that's when their name was added. So that's another way to do this, another approach.
Now, some of you out there may be watching this and are still not sold, and you're like, I mean, Wes, this seems really cool, but it seems like a lot of work, especially as you started getting deep into that, and I'm not anywhere near your level because I'm not using the software as much. So here's the deal. Let's look at this automation that we just created, this new guest follow-up. So the makings of this one are 4 things. Sending a text message to that particular guest. So how long would it take for you to pull your phone out, type in that new guest phone number, and then send a text message to them?
20, 30 seconds.
20, 30 seconds. And then when you take into account the other brainwaves before and after, you're looking at a minute of your life to do that. How long would it take you to send an email to that person with all this great information and stuff?
Oh, like a detailed email? I mean, it would take a few minutes. Probably, let's say 5 minutes.
Yeah, and that's, detailed email. Now, let's say, but you're smart, Matt, and I know you've already got an email template you've created. But still, the time it would take you to send an email from a template, but also customize it and everything, you're looking at maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes of your life. Let's say 2. We're being very, very frugal here. All right, then how long would it take for you to send a text message to the pastor with that person's information, letting the pastor know, please, please, please reach out to this person because they just visited our church?
Yeah, and then adding a note. Like I'm already going to have a checklist.
Yes.
To make sure I don't miss any of these steps, especially if we add any more than this.
Yes, and this is why this is so amazing, because not only did this just save 5 minutes of your life as a church administrator, but this also enabled you to have a process in place that is being followed to the T every single time.
Streamlined. It's all, you give your guests the exact same experience. So you streamline and just kind of oversee the whole thing in a way.
Yeah, and it's I'm treading on very, very
thin ice.
Thin ice here. So here's the deal, like, we don't want to get processed to death in our churches, because I've witnessed a lot of churches. I talked to a church planner that had 20 people in his church, and he had so many automations and all these other wild things going on, and I just had to have a come to Jesus moment with him and say,
Okay.
I think you're spending too much time in ChurchTrac and not enough time just focusing on ministry.
Yeah.
And that was a tough conversation to have, because he was asking my honest opinion, and I gave it to him. And so you can go down a road in automations where you spend so much time doing all these cool things because it's exciting, and especially if you're like us and you nerd out on this stuff.
Yeah.
But I always like caution, like, how do you know when it's too much when you're spending more time creating automations than what's actually needed?
Well, the thing to keep in mind is that like automations are here to save you time so that you have more time to do ministry. It's not there to like do the ministry for you or replace the work of ministry that you're doing.
Yeah.
So if you like try to outsource your ministry work to the software, you've gone a bridge too far.
Yeah.
But if you're at least just saving yourself time and taking out the monotony or just some of the minutia and all the nuances of things that just consume your time, and offload that to the software, you're on the right path.
And that is the whole point of automations, to be able to do that. And so, like, just to kind of take this to another thing, let's go ahead. I want to go back to the birthday message we created earlier. So we created that automatic birthday message with the pre-built thing that literally took like 10 seconds.
Yes.
Now, I call this one, It's Your Birthday.
It's your birthday.
Because let's be honest, sending a generic text message or email to people, like, we're the church.
Yeah. On one level, I think every church should be doing that.
Yes.
Sending a text automatically so that no one's forgotten, but also sending that reminder or task to the pastor so that they still do it themselves personally.
Yes.
I think it's good for members to get hit from both the institution, the organization,
Yes.
and the person.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to birthday message. And I actually want to go ahead and rename it because birthday message sounds lame.
Yeah.
It's your birthday. Now let's make this better.
Okay.
So the person's automatically just getting an email. Happy birthday. I wish you blessings upon blessings in your family.
And yeah, you can make that better. You can add more.
Pastor Jay, something like that. Now, what I want to do is I want to add another action.
Of course.
So here we go, add an action, and I want to send an SMS to a ChurchTrac user, and this particular user I want to send it to is the pastor, and I want the pastor to get a message, and I'm going to say, it is, and then first name, and then I'll put a little comma S, that way so if their name's like Matt, it'll say Matt's or something like that. So it is first name's birthday. Send them a message. And then I'll even put their phone number there just in case the pastor may be in a situation where he doesn't
already have it saved on his phone.
He can log into ChurchTrac from his phone anyway, so
But this saves that step.
But still, because then he can just select the number, then go ahead and text. So then I'll save that action. Isn't that so much better?
Yes. Now, Michelle, you mentioned a while ago, your first go at automation was send a birthday wish, and you sent it to everyone at church. I made that mistake too.
Yes, he did.
In our test account here, so he got a happy birthday message the next day. That's probably the reason why is because you created a custom automation, and the default automation option for who it's applied to is everyone. Whereas for a birthday message, you have to select the birthday is today smart list.
Yes, and that birthday is today, so
that's
just
crucial. Otherwise, everyone will get a happy birthday message every morning.
Day. I actually talked to one church leader. I think I showed you their account, but they were sending a happy birthday message to everybody in their church database. I think it was like 150 people. They did it for like 3 days straight.
Before anyone said anything?
No one said anything, and I'm just like, didn't at least one person be like, it's not my birthday?
Oh no.
I thought it was so funny. But yeah, just always double check when you're doing your different automations, who they're applied to. Make sure that it's to the right smart list or it's got the right trigger.
Yeah.
So in this case, birthday is today. And because, obviously, if I selected everyone, if I did that, literally everybody in my database would get a happy birthday
over 320
at
names.
6 a.m. in the morning, happy birthday. We do not want that.
Ever.
We want birthdays today to be selected.
And this is crucial. Under automation options, I think it was Tommy, you've been saying that you tried creating an automation before and it didn't work. We obviously can't diagnose that right here. So reach out to the support team and just send them like a screenshot of that automation so that they can diagnose it.
Yeah.
But chances are, if an automation doesn't work, it's because something under automation options is just off.
Yes.
It's either disabled or an option the correct option wasn't selected.
Yeah.
That would be my first assumption. So automation options is really crucial, not just what the automation does,
Yes.
but like when and who it runs for.
And because you can edit all of these things at any time, you don't have to worry about like just deleting an automation just because you're like, oh man, I wanted to actually do this and remake it. You don't need to start over from scratch every time. You can just go, and like in this situation, I have it set daily at 6 a.m. I don't want to send people happy birthday at 6 a.m. because I may have a lot of church members that aren't up by 6 a.m. I think they should be because I get up every day at 5:45, but that's me, not them. So I can say at 9 a.m. they will get that birthday text message. So that way it's still early enough to where we can hit them before they're getting a flood of other birthday texts from their friends and family. Hopefully they're getting birthday texts. Anyways, save changes. All right. So that's the birthday one now, which is dubbed It's Your Birthday. Let's do another one. We'll do...
Well, there was a couple people that asked about, I think we mentioned, or maybe I mentioned in the chat, the tag swap. So why don't we do that?
Yes. Oh, man. This one's great. And it's a time saver in the database.
Yes. Again, this is another just time-saving thing. So if you have a tag that's applied to somebody and you need to change it, like the background check one, the background check needed versus background check completed. I saw both of those tags there.
Yeah.
In an automation, you can have it swapped so that it changes from needed to completed.
Yeah, and so like a really great example of that, I would say is maybe like a new guest. And so let's do that real fast. So I'll add another automation here. Man, look how fast we built these automations, and we're sitting here jibber jabbering.
4, 5, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're just sitting here talking. If I was just going through and building them out, I could probably hammer out 20 automations in like an hour.
Yeah, if I wasn't distracting you.
Yeah. But I feel like I'm distracting you. All right, so let's jump in here. So I want to call this tag swap. And because I'm going to have multiple tag swaps happening in my database over time, I'm going to call this tag swap, and then we'll say new guest. That way it gives more detail. I always encourage just giving a little bit of detail on your automations instead of just saying like cool automation or something like that, or test automation. Actually say what they are, so that way as you go through automations, you know what they are. All right.
And that also helps. Oh, I forget who said this. Let me see. It was Larry. Does the system prevent duplication of automations created by multiple users? Naming your automation and being specific so that everyone knows exactly what that's for will help prevent that a lot.
Yeah.
Rather than just having some generic test or something silly like that no one would understand. Say what the automation is about so that it's not duplicated later.
And I would strongly say we need to put this in our user guide. Probably later today I'll put that in there. But when it comes to automations, this is an area because it can affect so many things exponentially.
Yeah.
I would not recommend having more than 2 people dealing with automations. And then those 2 people, they really need to be on the same page with each other and know what they're adding, what they're taking away, because you can have a train wreck of a situation.
If you've got like 3 automations all doing the same thing,
yes, you can.
And you can restrict access to automations under the user accounts tab at the top of the settings features. So if you have a lot of users, you can say, all right, only these like 2 or 3 people.
I need to show that right now, so I'll stop that automation just so I can show that. But I can select the person, and then when it comes to what they can and cannot do, I can actually scroll all the way down here. And we have the
manage
ability.
Automations right
so
there, other permissions.
I would strongly recommend that you uncheck this for basically everybody in your database except the main person that's in charge and maybe one additional person that's working with that.
Yes.
So I'm so glad you mentioned that, Matt, because that's a key thing there. All right, so let's go back. So I think I named it. Did I? No, I didn't. So I need to name it again. The tag swap. So add, and then we're going to call this tag swap. This will be our last recipe because we're just running out of time. And we're going to call this the new guest. Here we go. So people automation or application automation?
Well, because it has to do with a guest, it's about people.
Yep.
Anytime you're like doing anything related to the people at your church, it's a people automation. If you're doing like giving reports or accounting reports or something like that, or automatically adding transactions in accounting, that's application automation. So application automation covers everything but what has to do with the people.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and add this automation. And now let's build it out real quick. So in this situation, I'm gonna go ahead and add the action. And the action is gonna be, so I've already thought through this in my brain earlier. And the thought is, well, once they're no longer a new guest, they're now a returning guest. And so I want to remove a tag. So I wanna add a tag. Or actually, I don't need it. See, this is why it's good to think through it. I want to remove a tag.
Yeah.
And the tag I want removed
is that new guest one.
Is the new guest. So select that tag. There we go. So that is technically it, because now all I have to do is go, all right, when do I want this to run? Well, I want it to be actually triggered, and it's triggered when a tag is assigned, and the tag that I want to assign is going to be returning guest.
Okay.
So whenever they are,
when they come back that second or third or fourth time, and
we tag them as a returning guest, then as soon as they're tagged as a returning guest in our database, that tag of new guest goes bye-bye.
Automatically removed. Yeah.
Automatically removed. Now, let's take this to the next level, because this wouldn't be automations if we didn't take things to the next level, to the moon. All right, so we're gonna add another action here. Now, I wanna send a text message, and it's going to go to a specific ChurchTrac user, and the user I want it to go to is the pastor.
Okay.
So we got the pastor already loaded up in there, and this is going to be returning guest follow-up.
Yeah, so maybe they have a different conversation or a different email or something planned for people that have come a couple times.
Yes, and there we go. Save action. Now I'm going to do another thing. I'm going to actually add another action, and it's going to be a task, and this task is going to go to our outreach. And it's going to go to specifically the pastor. So when the pastor logs in, he's going to have this task assigned to him. If you haven't used our task feature yet, it's incredible. And it's going to be new guest follow-up. Or I'm sorry, not new guest follow-up. I'm sitting there thinking about new guest. Returning guest follow-up. And then in the notes, I'm going to put that person's name, their phone, their email, even though he'll know. So there you go. We've got it all.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Isn't that cool?
That's amazing.
It is wild how many things we can do with automations. And we've only covered like...
That's only 6 automations.
This is only 6 automations. I have come across churches that have like, I'm trying to think, let me count in my head.
Well, here's
the thing.
like
30.
Yeah. And like, again, we've talked about task automations. We don't even have time to cover that, because that is a very detailed, a little bit of an involved process where you create an automation, and that automation involves creating a task. Then you create another automation, and you set the trigger to be when the task from the first automation is completed. So you link them. The second automation runs once that task is completed. And you can create a task in that second automation, and then create a third automation that's linked to that task. So, and you can just create a chain reaction where everything happens in sequence.
Yes, and that is really where automations, it's already insanely powerful. You start doing task automations and linking them together, it is unreal. I'll put the link in the chat here just so everyone's got it. We actually have this here, but task automations how to, and we walk you through how to do that in our user guide. And so I highly encourage checking that out if you want to even take things to the next level. Now, lots of cool stuff.
Belinda, you asked, or you said, I'm lost with the tag swap thing. Will you be having a detailed webinar regarding this? We won't have a webinar, but we do already have a video. Is it in the recipes article that we did the video?
It's in go to our recipes, and we have a tag swap recipe.
Let me pull up that article and I'll drop it in the link. Yeah.
Now it is still, I will admit, it is pretty fast paced, just because we didn't want our recipes to be long and drawn out. We wanted to be quick little recipes to help you. But if you're still struggling with that, just reach out to our support team. That's what we're here for, and we can help you navigate through this. We're actually working with one ministry who was creating just a ton of automations, but they got hung up on a couple different triggers that they were doing that actually had to do with the tags. And it just wasn't clicking, but we got on the phone with them and they were able to talk through it. And now this church is like our model church of automations, where they're just running so many automations and they're able to do so much. Yeah, it makes me so happy to see churches leverage technology like this, not because we're trying to replace doing actual ministry, because that's not what we're here to do.
Absolutely not.
It's to augment our ministry and to help our ministries thrive, to help us to continue to build the church. And I just love seeing how churches can use it. And we're always encouraged by just the ideas churches bring to the table and the things they're doing. And I'm like, I didn't even know you could do that with automations. Like, it's nuts.
Yes. And speaking of ideas, if you ever have any suggestions for these automations, absolutely send us a support ticket with a feature request. We read all of those feature requests. In fact, there's been kind of a feature request already in the chat. 3 of you, Nana, Patty, and I forget the third one. I think her name was Tammy. You've all asked about certain reports, like certain giving reports or automation reports. Make a feature request. If enough of you ask for the same thing, it pretty much guarantees that we will add that into the software, almost. Yeah. So go ahead and send a support ticket with a feature request for those reports to be added into the automation so that you can use that.
All right, now there's one last automation I want to mention, but what I'll do is just let everyone know, we're going to move into a time of Q&A.
Yes.
So like this has gone long just because you all are really digging this stuff and we're covering some pretty incredible things. But I really want to just spend time answering questions. Do you think we need to enable Q&A mode, Matt, or should we just keep just the chat
We can
open?
manage this.
We can manage it?
We can manage this, yeah.
So in the chat, just if you have a question about automations, if your question's about anything else in ChurchTrac, we just don't have time to attend to it today because we have so many people in there. But automations question, like how to do something or whatever, something within reason that we can kind of do in this sort of environment, let's tackle that together so we can answer your question. And we're prepared to stay as long as it takes, or at least until they shut off the lights on us. But while you're kind of thinking through your questions, I want to show you my last automation. This is a quick recipe. This is probably one of my favorites just because I think this is such a good use of technology and keeping people from slipping through the cracks at our church. And this is creating an automation that sends a report automatically, an absentee report to be specific.
Yes.
So I'm going to add an automation.
Yeah.
I call this one No Man Left Behind.
Yes.
I love this automation. This is so cool using technology to keep our people plugged into church. So in this situation, this is an application automation because it's a report. And so I'm going to add this automation. And now, in terms of what report, well, I'm going to add the action here. I want a event/attendance report. Now I can select and continue. Now choose a report. I want an absentee report. And this absentee report, it's actually going to go to you because you manage our small groups, and it's going to have a certain date range. And so the date range is going to be from last month. Okay. And choose the tags and groups. So I want to apply this to everybody in our discipleship groups because we track our discipleship group attendance in ChurchTrac. And so now, save action. This report is going to be sent to you every month of everybody who has not attended a single discipleship group during that prior month.
Yes.
So that way you can reach out to them or get one of those small group leaders. And so then when do I want this automation to run? I can say on a day of the month, and this can be on the first day of the month, or I can put it, I can actually be very specific.
Every month and just say the first Sunday of the month.
Yeah,
or the first day of the month or something like that, yeah.
And so in this situation, I'm going to say the first Sunday of every month, just because that's whenever you're doing all that, so save changes. And so there you go. On the first Sunday of every month, you're getting emailed an absentee report of everybody who hasn't attended their small group in the past month. So that way we can just minister to them, reach out to them, and utilize technology to keep people from slipping through the cracks. That's No Man Left Behind, and it's a great automation. All right, questions.
Well, first of all, Tamika, you asked earlier, how do I set it up to have the pastor as a drop-down selection for communication? Or is it just pulling the name from the directory? It's not pulling it from the name as in a directory. He was saying he wants that email or text or task be assigned to a user, a ChurchTrac user. So your pastor has to be a user in the ChurchTrac account in order for you to select them as a recipient of that communication.
Yeah, so make sure you have your users already added, and that way you can send that text or that email to that specific user.
Now, Joy First Congregational, UCC, Alex, Minnesota, you said, can we create a different automation for people who are regular attenders / members who are worshiping remotely versus new guests who have joined us and signed in remotely to our Connect cards? Yes, the way I'm envisioning it right now is by having tags for each of these things.
Yeah.
So creating a system of tags that allows you to label these people and then create automations that are triggered by like adding that tag or removing that tag. Yes, so you can have automations that run for different people so long as you have the tags for those different people already created.
And you may find yourself as you get deep in automations where you're like, oh man, we actually need to create a tag for this because we need to leverage tags to trigger these things.
Yes.
And so get familiar with tags if you haven't already. You're going to be creating additional tags. I can guarantee you that.
All right, Joy, you also, well, actually a couple people have asked this about like setting a trigger for if they fill out a form card in Church Connect. There's not a trigger that responds to the filling out of any form in Connect.
Yeah.
However, like you can create a trigger when a new name is added to the database, and you can add someone from Connect. If like they create an account in Church Connect, you can add them into your database. So that's the way to do that. Have them create an account in Church Connect, and then when they're added from Connect into your database, an account or a automation is run.
Yeah, we've been talking with the developers and taking all the feedback we've been getting from churches over the past 6 months with automations, and we have some additional triggers that we're looking at adding in the future. I don't know when they're going to be added because we have so many other cool features like background checks we're incorporating and check-in. Which
child check-in is getting a huge update.
Yeah,
in the next few days.
Yeah, just continue to give us those ideas, and we'll put them down our list, and we definitely check it twice. So.
Barbara, you asked, can we delete an automation we no longer use? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just click on the automation itself, and then at the very bottom in that toolbar where it says add and rename, there's a delete option. So yeah, if something kind of gets defunct, or if like you come up with a better automation, or you just change something about your church and that ministry is no longer a thing, just delete it. Yeah, that's easy. Let's see, Wendy, can the person receiving the text reply? And if so, who receives the reply? Remember, we mentioned that you had to have a Twilio account integrated with ChurchTrac in order to utilize that texting automation. That they can reply back with a Twilio account, and you can manage all of that on your dashboard.
Yeah, so on your home screen in ChurchTrac, in your messages tab, this is where you see all those incoming messages, and so then you can go ahead and you can reply to those text messages.
Nice.
So there you go.
All right, and Tommy, thank you for answering Barbara's question earlier in the chat. This is what's cool. I'll just bring this up one more time. The Facebook group. I'm dropping a link into the chat for the Facebook group. It's a great community of other ChurchTrac users that would love to answer any of your questions, just like Tommy did for Barbara. There have been some questions asked, and viewers answer it in the chat. I love it.
This is great.
So that's a great resource. Definitely click on that link that I just dropped, so you have that available for you when this is over. Michelle, does the system maintain their record attendance when the tag is swapped? Well, yeah, all attendance records are kept over time. So you don't have to lose that attendance record. That's
a really good question. That shows me you're really thinking things through. Yeah.
Mindy, how do you add a link or a file to the email? You just take the link, copy it, paste it into the body of the email. From these automations, I don't think you can add a file like you can in the people screen messages email tool.
Yeah.
I don't think you can add like a PDF or anything into the automated emails, but you can add links just fine. Just copy and paste them in.
I always like to say the word yet, because if we get enough churches asking about a feature they want to incorporate, we add it to our list. Yeah.
Terry Sloan, will you create an automation to send a "We missed you today" message to everyone who is absent from church each day based on attendance recording? I've actually thought of that before too. I don't think that's something that you can rig up in the automations right now, but that's a great suggestion. Definitely send that one to us.
So let's think through this. So you're wanting to send a text message to everybody who didn't make it to the previous day?
Or like or I can imagine like sending a message out to everyone who hasn't shown up, like based on the absentee report for the prior month, sending a text out to all those people once a month or something like that, or even every week.
Yeah.
But like we don't have anything based on that, but I would definitely send that in as a suggestion.
Yeah.
Because that's a great idea. Let's see, set up payments. Let's see, the reports exist, but they are not available for automation. Nana, that's correct, yes. Again, send in a suggestion to ask us to add those reports in to use for automations.
A lot of good questions.
All right. Let's see, there's a lot of really great comments and questions. Katie, would it be possible to make an automation for changing a tag from visitor to regular attendee if they've attended a number of times within a specific time period? Again, just like the absentee, attendance record automation, send that in as a suggestion. It would be, I think it would be really cool if we could build automations around attendance reports.
Yeah, and that's starting to get into some high level stuff. That my first question would be, are you going to act on it? Because I have seen churches that will really get deep and add some of these things, but then they don't really act on the things, and then they have that struggle of all these automations running, but they're not really keeping up with them.
Yeah.
And so you always want to think through okay, if we're going to do this, we need to do it right, and we need to follow up with these things.
Yeah. Gilbert, you mentioned a couple times that Twilio hasn't been sending text messages. Reach out to our support team for that. There's a few things that could cause that, whether it be not having enough funds in the account, to how you set up the account, to whether or not you have the consent of your members to receive those, and you've sent that proof of consent to Twilio, all of that. So reach out to our support team. And Kim asked, do I have to have Twilio to text members? You have to have Twilio to send text via automations.
Yeah.
You can, on the people screen, send text messages with our built-in tool. You don't have to have Twilio. But Twilio gives you more functionality, and it's a lower rate. So we kind of recommend you use Twilio.
It's for sending out messages, especially mass text messages in ministry. Our Twilio integration, it is a slam dunk. Even with their recent price change where they've upped their prices just a hair, it is still a fraction of what other church texting platforms are charging.
Yes. Shakira, you're asking a question about giving reports, not automations. Yes, you can send reports based on family giving, but reach out to the support team if you have questions that don't have to do with automations in one way or another. We've actually read all the questions so far. I cannot believe we did that. I was afraid that
We're flying, man.
I was afraid that me saying, no, we can handle it, I was going to regret that. But you all have had some amazing questions. If you have a few more, we got a few more minutes, definitely jump in and throw them into the chat before we close this out so that you get yourself taken care of. I believe David just put a prompt for YouTube in that lower third. I'll go ahead and add that as a link into the chat. Definitely click on that link. That way there's a tab for our YouTube channel open for when this workshop is over. It's a great resource.
Yes.
We've got over 100 videos there you can watch on everything to do with your ChurchTrac account, plus some other really cool videos that have to do with just church leadership and ministry and all the fun stuff, and also not fun stuff about being a church leader. Go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date on all the future stuff we do, like putting this, we're going to put this video on the YouTube channel in a day or two. So definitely subscribe there.
Well, I just have to give a shout out. One of my favorite videos that we've done actually had nothing to do with ChurchTrac, and that was Canva. We did that live stream, remember, and just showing church leaders how to utilize Canva to make really good looking church media for not only their website and their church app with Church Connect, but also just slides, presentation, bulletins. So if you want to take your other things in your church to the next level, such as your church media, that's a good one to watch that we've put on our YouTube channel.
Tamika Reed, you asked, is there another live stream I can access on how to use the attendance feature? I don't think we've done a whole webinar on attendance, but we have plenty of how-to videos, certainly, on our YouTube channel for all the attendance stuff. So definitely check that out.
All right, Matt, Belinda's got a question here, and I don't know if we have it in here yet. Automation for happy anniversary. Hello.
Yeah, so automation for happy anniversary, I don't think that's an option. No, I'm pretty sure it's not. I think it would be a good idea for us to have a anniversary is today smart list.
Yes.
And then create an automation around that.
I'm wondering.
I think that would be how we would do that.
I'm going to think through that. There may be a way to do that. There may be a way. I just have to think through it. So I tell you what, can you create a support ticket, Belinda? That way it's on our radar and we can look into that deeper, because if there is a way to make an automation for happy anniversary, I want to create it. And I also want to put that as a recipe on our user guide, because I think that would be really cool.
Yes, Terry Sloan says, we have our congregation divided into 10 care groups, and each group has a group leader.
Okay.
We record attendance at each Sunday morning service. Each Sunday afternoon, I run an absence report and email it to all the care group leaders so they can check on people in their group who were out that morning. That's why I asked about automating this process. I would certainly use it. And it would certainly benefit you, because that sounds time consuming. I think that would be a great idea.
I think, Terry, I think you probably could do this. The situation in which you have 10 care groups and each group has a group leader, you would need to create a ChurchTrac account for each group leader.
Yeah, they would each have to be a user in the account. Mm-hmm.
Which is different from a Church Connect account. So they'd actually have to have a ChurchTrac account. And then what you would do is you create an absentee report that you would then send to each one of those based on the tag.
You could create one automation and then just create a send to user, like send email to user or send report to user 10 times.
Yeah.
And then for that absentee report, select each person's tag. It'd be a little bit of an involved process, but you could do that. You absolutely can automate that in your account now.
Or you could have 10 different automations and each one is just that specific absentee report for that specific tag that is assigned to that person for their group.
Yeah.
So it really just comes down to, do you want every person to have the same absentee report with all the people, or do you want each person to have an absentee report with just those people in their specific tagged group? That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Can you send us a support ticket on that? I want to see how your church is going to do that one. And learn.
We may have to feature that as an automation recipe.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea. All right, I think that's going to be enough. We're 10 minutes past our time anyway. We don't want to take up too much more of your time. Michelle says, thank you again, Wes and Matt. Very informative webinar as always. And we love doing these webinars and chatting with all of you and just showing you how you can use ChurchTrac to benefit your ministry and come alongside what you're doing to streamline everything and make everything great.
Yes. Well, you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Be on the lookout. We're always coming out with new features and cool things that we add to the software. And we'll talk to you next time. See ya.